I just wanted to share with you a really simple venison recipe today for like a slow cook job. I've got some red deer meat here, shot by my mate Andrew from Victoria on one of his hunting trips. We've got some onions, we've got some leeks, we've got a bit of rosemary, I've got a bit of seasoning sauce, salt and pepper, red wine to finish it all off. We're going to do it today in an electric slow cooker. Not everyone has one of these, of course, so of course you've got normal oven pot. If you're going to use an oven pot, I would suggest setting the oven at about 120 to 130 degrees if you're going to do it for a long time. But any shorter than that, put it up to 150 degrees. Right, so the thing I'm going to start with is just seasoning the meat a little bit. Now, I'm lucky enough to have some red deer here, but it really doesn't matter what you use, whether it's Rooster, Sam, Buffalo. But this particular dish is really great if there's trophy hunters out there, if you're after the bucks and stags. Older animal probably won't make the nicest steak, but it will make a fantastic slow cook. Alright, once that's done, we're not going to cook the meat, we're just going to brown the outside a little bit. That's good for flavour, and also it just keeps each chunk sealed quite nicely. Just a bit of olive oil in the pan, doesn't matter. Just enough to stir fry it around a bit. Stir frying it through a little bit, trying to get each corner, all the red bits just covered up nicely. Just going to toss these leeks in a little bit, just for the same reason, it adds a bit of flavour. And start breaking the leek down a little bit. The next step is to make a stock. Just use stock cubes. You can use any kind of supermarket stock that you want, it doesn't really matter. This goes in last with the red wine. Good to have all this ready so that it can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 all in one. Here's the leek we had earlier, nicely reduced down. Not so crunchy anymore, nicely wilted, it's beautiful. I've got this set on high to get started with. I'm going to start by getting the Veno in. Now I haven't cooked up these onions because I really like them rawer the better. You can cut them up as finely as a leek if you like, it doesn't really matter, but I find they just dissolve that way and I like a bit of crunch. Diced tomatoes, crushed tomatoes work just as well. After the heat gets onto it, it all comes into one. Whole can in. Really get it all evenly mixed because it's all going to infuse into each other's flavours. It's just so tasty. Rosemary. You don't need too much, it's quite pungent, but I like to put it in a stick. That way, you don't have little bits of it in people's food, you can just take it out afterwards once it's imparted its nice flavour. Just break them up a little bit, just to burst the leaves a little, chuck that in on the top like that. I've got a whole thing of stock here. You don't have to use it all. I want to try and get the water level just to above the mark so that everything's just covered. Sometimes in the oven pots you do get a bit of moisture loss, that's why it's good to keep a bit of extra stock to top it up if it's dried out a little bit. I'm going to pour that in now. And I'm not completely covering it just yet because the other component of moisture is the good stuff. A generous splosh. And Bob's your uncle. Right, all done. It's had a good 8 hours in the pot. You can serve this up with anything from potatoes, pasta, rice, whatever you like. I like to use a bit of couscous. So the reason I've shown you this is because I reckon the most respect you can pay a game animal that you've killed is to use it to the absolute full, all the meat that you possibly can, and I think a slow cooked dish like this is the best way to get the best out of it. Anyway, here goes. It's wonderful because I made it. Thank you, Andrew, for the venison. Good times in that.